Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Are you feeling better?
Yes.
Good. I'm glad to hear that.
Thank you for doing this interview with me. I'm really excited and I really liked your book.
Thank you. I'm so excited to talk to you today.
So, what made you want to write a kid's book about death?
Oh, that's a great question. I work with a lot of families and a lot of kids who are asking these kind of questions. So, a lot of my job is finding really good resources for those families and things like children's books. And there are a lot of really good children's books out there. But I felt like there was something missing, and I felt like I could maybe add to the conversation a little bit. So I decided to write this book, and I feel like I was able to answer a lot of the questions that a lot of families usually ask me and a lot of kids ask me. And that way that everyone has a resource. Even if I can't be there to talk to them in person, they've got a book to use that might help them.
That's so cool. Why do you think it's important for kids to know and talk about death?
I think it's important because everybody is going to experience that at some time. So it's something that we all have in common, that we're all going to grieve at some time. We're all going to know somebody who dies, or we're all going to experience loss in our own life. And so if we talk about it at a young age when we're young, instead of wondering about it and maybe thinking up things that are like with our imagination and thinking of things that maybe aren't real or not true, or maybe being afraid and just because we don't know about it. Because sometimes, whenever there's something that we don't know about, it's scary. So I think if we just talk about it, it's a little bit less scary. And it also helps us understand what we can do about it and think about it so that when it comes time that someone you love dies or you have a loss, that you kind of know what to expect. You feel a little bit more prepared.
What was the hardest part about writing your book?
I wanted to make sure that every kid could see themselves in the book, that no matter who it was that died that they loved, no matter the way that it happened, no matter how they felt, that when they read the book, they felt like they were understood and that someone understood what they were going through and understood what questions they might ask. So that was the hardest part, but also the best part, because I feel like thinking those things through and making sure that I did the best job I could really helps make the book what it was.
So, I read about your job and how you work with kids who are at the end of their life. Can you tell me more about that?
I work on a team called the palliative care team. And so that's a big word, palliative care. Basically, what that means is our team tries to help sick kids have the best quality of life that they possibly can. It doesn't mean that all of those kids are going to die. That just might mean that they have an illness that they live with for their whole life. But some kids do. And so it really is important to us to make sure that it's not so scary and it's not so hard, and it's really comfortable. It's really an incredible thing that I get to do. I get to work with these kids and these families who are going through the hardest thing that they could ever go through. And I think how it makes me feel is I'm just so in awe of these kids and their strength, um, their joy, how even though they're super sick or super hurt and are facing the end of their life, they are still kids and they want to have fun and they want to talk to their friends and they want to do things that make them happy, and they want to make sure that their families are loved and cared for and all the normal things that kids want. Dying kids want the same things. And so it's really beautiful to see that and to be able to help kids um, kind of do some of those things when they're facing the end of their life.
That's so interesting. What is grieving and what does it mean to you?
Grieving. Well, probably the best way I can explain grieving is it's the way that you respond to loss. So people can grieve lots of things and not just death. You can grieve, for example, like when some kids during the pandemic didn't get to go to class, didn't get to go to school, and maybe some kids didn't get to go on their first field trip. That can feel like grief because you missed out on something that was going to be special. So grief can be a lot of things, but I think what most people think about is after someone dies, you grieve. And so it's the way that you feel and the way that you respond to that person being gone from your life. It causes lots of feelings, like we talk about in the book. Good feelings, hard feelings. It's all wrapped up in grief, and there's no right or wrong way to feel or to grieve. It can also mean that you start talking about things differently and kind of make decisions differently, think about things differently. And so it causes lots of things to happen, and all of that is involved with grief.
So, what is something you can say or do for someone who is grieving?
That's good. I think a lot of people feel a little awkward and don't really know what to say or do when they know someone special is grieving. So if you have a friend that maybe is grieving, it's kind of like, oh, what do I say? What do I do? I don't want to say the wrong thing, but I want to make sure they know that I know and I care about them. And so there's those kind of feelings of, I don't know, what should I do? Mm-hmm. So that's a really important question. The best thing you can do is say something. Acknowledge it is what the big word is for that. To say, hey, I know that this person died, and I want you to know that I care about you, and you can talk about them if you want. I'll listen if you want to talk about them. If you want to share a story about them, I'd love to hear that. Or if you also knew the person that died, you can tell a story about them. Like, you can say, can I share a story with you about a time that this person and I hung out and this funny thing happened? So you can share memories too. Saying their name is really nice. Grieving people love to hear the person's name. They love to hear it said out loud because that reminds them that other people remember them too, and they're not the only person thinking about them. So that feels really good.
Have you experienced family who has passed away, and what is something you do to remember them?
Yes, of course. I think everyone has experienced someone who's died in their family. And I don't know, how old are you, Aria?
I'm 8.
You're 8. I was about your age whenever I experienced the first death in my family. My great-grandmother was one of my favorite people in the whole world. She was so funny. I spent every Saturday with her, and I remember going to the mall with her, and she would watch me sometimes when my mom was at work, and she meant so much to me. And she was someone who was very special to me, who died. And I think I first started learning about that when I was about your age and asking questions about it. And then just learning more as I got older. And one of the things that I do to remember my granny is, when Orange Julius used to be around, it was a place where you could get some smoothies. I would go get an Orange Julius because that's what we would do together. And I would have that and I would think about her. And I also think about her anytime someone calls someone baby doll or baby girl, because that's what she would call me. And so when I hear someone say that nickname, I think of my granny. So things like that really make me think about her.
That's really interesting. Yeah. I also visit my grandparents on Saturdays. They either come over or we go visit.
I love that. It's so special, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think those times where you're getting to spend really good time with the people you love, those are the things that you get to hold on to even after they die. And those are the memories that you get to hold on to. And so I love that you spend that much time with your grandparents. That's amazing.
So, what was your favorite page of your book?
I have it here. Can I show you?
Okay.
Okay. So there's a couple reasons why it's my favorite page. This one. This is my favorite page.
Oh, yes. Yes. That was a really cool page, too.
The reason why I love this page is because of this blank space right here, this big, huge blank space. And the reason why we left it this place, this blank on this page, is because every kid who gets this book, they can either draw on this page or put a picture of someone that they love that's died on this page, and they can color it all in.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah. I wanted to make it to where you can make it your own. And so we left a lot of blank spaces in there so that you could use it.
That's so cool. So my favorite page was the page about ideas to keep the love growing, like like making a cake for somebody's birthday that has passed away, or wearing their favorite color.
I like that page too. If you have an idea of ways to keep love growing after death, you can start doing those things right now, even before. And so it makes them even more special later on. So maybe you don't know what their favorite food is. You could ask them and then have them take you to eat it with them. Or maybe you don't know what their favorite place is, and so you can ask them. So it gives you some ideas to also make the love grow right now.
Oh, it's so cool. It was so nice meeting you and talking to you. I learned a lot.
Thank you. I did too. I had such a great time. Thank you so much for asking all those really good questions.
You're welcome. Bye.
Bye, Aria.